Hey guys, I'm George. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be painting here in Hampton Court, and the actual historic Hampton Court Palace is right behind me, behind this wall. But in front of me we've got a nice view of the River Thames with this bridge off in the distance, and we're going to try and paint a lot of these trees and nature around the river, and also try and paint a few boats and things going past. So please do subscribe to my YouTube channel and let's start painting. Today I'm painting on a 35 by 25 centimeter panel, which is toned to a neutral grey. I'm sketching the main features of my composition using raw umber paint. I placed the horizon line of my painting quite high up on my panel, about 1/3 from the top of my panel, and this will allow me to fit more of the water into the painting, which allows me to really focus on the colours and the reflections and patterns and ripples in the water. When designing your composition, it's important to consider what will be the main focal point in the painting and how you can draw attention to this. For me, as I look at the scene, Hampton Court Bridge strikes me as the focal point, and the dark mass of trees either side of the bridge and the reflections in the water help draw more attention to the bridge. I've even accentuated the angle of the trees on the left hand side so that they lead the viewer's eyes into the composition and down into the bridge, and the angle of the trees and the reflections in the water mirroring this act as the head of an arrow pointing towards the bridge, and as a result this is a strong compositional shape which draws the viewer's eyes into the bridge. Here I'm painting the lightest light in my painting, which are these clouds that are running horizontally across the sky and are catching the sunlight. To paint these I'm using titanium white with a small touch of cadmium yellow mixed in. To paint this section of sky closest to the horizon, I'm using a colour mix of mostly cerulean blue and titanium white with a small touch of yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, and as the sky gets further up I add a touch of ultramarine blue to this mix as the sky starts to take on a deeper and cooler blue. So when I'm looking for a painting spot, I try and find a view which gives me a powerful and interesting composition to work from. However, how we position the scene on our canvas can really enhance the composition or weaken it. Also, what we leave in and out of the painting will play a significant part, and I would even suggest making small changes to your scene where necessary to make for a more powerful image, as many of the most famous and widely regarded as the best landscape paintings are not exact copies of nature, but rather the artist has used a particular place as inspiration. For example, a lot of the famous landscape paintings by the Hudson River School painters, which was a mid-19th century American art movement rather than a physical school, their paintings are not completely the same as the locations that they represent. However, they capture the spirit and the essence of a place very effectively, often conveying a powerful sense of awe and splendour in nature. And the same goes for famous English artists such as John Constable and Joseph Turner, who would create their paintings from sketches that they brought back to the studio to work from. As I fill in the mass of trees, I'm using two slightly different green colour mixes, one for the trees in light and one for the trees in shadow. I'm keeping the shift in tonal value between these colour mixes quite subtle, as if I squint at the scene, it's clear to see that the overall section of trees is dark in tonal value, so I'm avoiding the tendency to overplay the tonal contrast. As when I really focus on these sections with my eyes wide open, I can see all the subtleties and value, and the changes appear really significant. However, when viewing the scene as a whole and comparing the values to the other values throughout the scene, the tonal value shifts within this section are actually quite subtle. I'm using a colour mix of ultramarine blue, raw umber and a small touch of cadmium yellow for the darker sections of the trees, and for the lighter sections I've added more cadmium yellow as well as a bit of yellow ochre, which lightens the value and warms the colour temperature as well. To paint this bridge, I start by painting the sections in shadow under the arches. And now that I'm satisfied with the placement of these shadow shapes under the bridge, I'm now painting using a colour mix of cadmium red, raw umber and a touch of titanium white for the front of the bridge. And as the bridge is quite far away, the chroma will appear slightly duller than if I were to view it up close. For that reason, the red of the bridge will be slightly lower in chroma. Here I'm mixing the colour mix for the reflection in the water. Using my palette knife, I create a colour mix consisting of raw umber, English green light, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow and a touch of viridian green. I've painted a boat leading into the scene from the left hand side towards Hampton Court Bridge. I feel the position of this boat strengthens the composition as it leads the viewer's eyes into the scene and towards the bridge, which is the focal point of the painting. Using a very small fine pointed brush, I'm now adding some details in to the bridge area and I'm adding a few cars and lorries passing over the bridge. So I hope you enjoyed that video of me painting here in Hampton Court on the River Thames today. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram to keep up to date with my most recent artworks. And I look forward to seeing you in another video.